Welcome to the NACIC World Podcast. The objective of the NACIC World Podcast is to uplift, inspire, motivate, and to encourage personal growth and introspection. The human spirit is a flame that can be neglected, ignored, and covered up, but it can also be nurtured, nourished, and fanned to create a mighty fire. The NACIC World Podcast, fan the flame of your spirit. Here is your host, RJ.
Welcome back, and it's so nice to be with you once again on NACIC World Podcast. Life is complex and not always easy. There's been a couple of decades ago that I completed my degree as well as my psychology studies. And I must say, I am continuously learning. They say you are never too old to learn, and that's a fact. Recently, I completed a life and wellness coaching certificate and had to brush up on my old psychology knowledge. I actually rediscovered quite a lot about myself and others. In actual fact, I became much more aware of the fact that for some of us who are insecure, life in general is just harder. Cultivating authentic relationships is difficult because you're constantly worried about things like what others think of you or whether people might leave you. Accepting constructive criticism feels like an attack on your intelligence or who you are rather than just advice meant to help you. Social anxiety, people-pleasing, depression, resentment, perfectionism, self-loathing, lacking confidence, and I could go on and on. These things have become more evident among those with low levels of self-worth. Rather than struggling through life unsure of why you matter and allowing that insecurity to hold you back, I am sure that we all prefer to work toward a purposeful, enjoyable existence by improving ourselves in all spheres of life. This made me realize there are so many self-words around. There is self-esteem, self-compassion, self-acceptance, self-respect, self-confidence, self-love, self-care, and so on. And some of these concepts we've covered in previous podcast episodes. These are the many words that describe how we feel about ourselves, how we think about ourselves, and how we act toward ourselves. It is understandable if these concepts all start to blend together for you, for your benefit. However, they are indeed different concepts with unique meanings, findings, and purposes. So, today I want to focus on building your self-worth.
NACIC World Podcast, broadcasting all over the world. You are listening to NACIC World Podcast. If you are serious about making money online from home, then visit SMMenterprisesonline.com. SMMenterprisesonline.com.
Self-worth and self-value are two related terms that are often used interchangeably. Having a sense of self-worth means that you value yourself, and having a sense of self-value means that you are worthy. The differences between the two are minimal, enough that both terms can be used to describe the same general concept. So what is self-worth? Self-worth is an internal state of being that comes from self-understanding, self-love, and self-acceptance. It's a state that is somewhat timeless and unchanging because it's a direct measure of how you value and regard yourself in spite of what others may say or do. It is therefore something that doesn't quickly or easily change when external factors or circumstances change. Self-worth is steady and unflinching and therefore holds power to radically transform your life for the better. To have a high level of self-worth means having a favorable opinion or estimate of yourself. It means having unshakable faith in yourself and in your ability to follow through and get things done. Having a high degree of self-worth meaning feeling worthy of good things, It means feeling deserving of happiness, health, wealth, success, and love, irrespective of the difficulties you face, the disappointments you experience, or of people's opinion. To have a high level of self-worth means accepting yourself wholeheartedly at all times, despite your flaws, weaknesses, and limitations. It's about recognizing the real value of who you are right here, right now, at this moment. To have a high level of self-worth means never allowing yourself to be defined by outside forces, including other people's opinions. It means never allowing outcomes to shake your confidence, your faith, or your resolve. All this essentially means that no matter what happens, you are steadfast. Nothing outside you can influence how you feel about yourself. Your influence alone is the only thing that matters. You alone are the most significant factor on how you feel about yourself, about your life, and about your circumstances. And that is essentially where your personal power comes from.
NACIC World Podcast. Broadcasting all over the world. You are listening to NACIC World Podcast. Are you interested in doing an online tourism business course? Visit tourismbusinessonline.com, tourismbusinessonline.com.
Having a high level of self-worth is no doubt of tremendous value. But the question still remains, how do we go about building our self-worth? How do we create enough self-worth to empower our daily decisions and actions in a way that will help us achieve our desired outcomes? Self-worth is what enables us to believe that we are capable of doing our best with our talents, of contributing well in society, and that we deserve to lead a fulfilling life. Building self-worth up again is therefore natural, essential, and healthy. However, building a high level of self-worth will take time. Here are a few steps that we can follow to build our self-worth. First, understand the power of your attitude toward yourself. How you perceive yourself, how you talk about yourself, and how you represent yourself eventually become the reality for you. If it happens that you're putting yourself down or belittling your own worth and making light of your talents in the face of others, then you will come across as having low self-worth. The second step that we can take in building our self-worth is learn to overcome a fear of self-love. Now, this topic of self-love, loving yourself, we've covered in a previous podcast episode. Self-love is often equated with egotism and some kind of one-way trip to a negative form of introversion. Healthy self-love is about being your own best friend. Self-love is about treating yourself with the same care, tolerance, compassion as you would treat a special friend. And the third step that we can take is trust your own feelings. Self-worth requires that you learn to listen to and rely on your own feelings and not automatically respond to the feelings of other people. When you trust your own feelings, you recognize unfair demands and are able to respond to them better. Self-worth lowers in ourselves when we let others make decisions for us. Initially, this may seem like the easy route to follow and one that allows you to avoid hard choices. However, our self-worth grows when we make decisions for ourselves. If you don't, you will always find yourself boxed in by what other people decide for you. When the people who make decisions for you disappear from your life, you are left alone and indecisive. Building a high level of self-worth will take time. Self-worth doesn't come overnight, but with practice and time, it is definitely attainable.
You are listening to NACIC World Podcast.
If you have high self-worth, you feel confident, and you know you are a good person who deserves good things. That's why investing in your self-worth is one of the best, most productive ways to spend your time today. When your self-worth is low, your sense that you are not enough increases. You believe that you're not worthy of love. You withdraw from others and isolate yourself. You sink into self-pity and avoid situations that will expose how you are feeling. It's not that people with self-worth never feel bad or get down on themselves. They do. We all do. The difference comes in on how these feelings are handled. The best thing is to learn to value ourselves and not base our value on external events. It is important that we shift our locus of control internally, not externally. This means that we realize our worth is not determined by the value that lies outside of us. This means that we believe we have control over what happens to us, and our worth is not determined by the things we have. This way, we believe more in our abilities, our attitudes, and our internal strengths to get us out of tough situations. That brings us to the end of this episode. Please keep on fanning the flame of your spirit.
Please like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel and podcast platforms. Send your emails to podcast@nacicinchina.com. NACIC World Podcast is broadcasted twice weekly, every Tuesday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Beijing time. Until next time, please stay safe and be blessed. Till we meet again.